Hello, everyone. I am Sean, and welcome once again to my Horror Corner. As always, thank you so much for watching the video today. I really do appreciate that. And again, a special thank you to those of you who have become subscribers. Your support, your encouragement, it means so very much to me. So thank you all so very much. I really do appreciate it. You guys are the absolute best. So thank you. Today, we are going to be talking about a movie from 2022 that I feel like to this day still may have some effect on me. Today, we are going to be talking about Fall. Now, I know this is not considered by some people to be a like a typical horror movie, but yeah, this one does something to me. It's definitely a thriller, and yeah, I feel like it should be included. So we're going to talk about it today. Um, and yeah, we'll just go ahead. Let me put my glasses on so I can read. Nothing really to show collectible wise today. So we're going to get right in and start talking about this. But I don't. I never had a fear of heights. I saw this movie the first time. Did not see it in theaters. I wish I would have because I can only imagine how this would have looked on the big screen. Um, but I saw this shortly after it came out to be streaming. Um, just to see what it was like. I really didn't know much about it. Absolutely loved it the first time I watched it, just to let you know. Did a rewatch shortly there later because I wanted to show it to my son. And then a short time later, watched it again. And then watched it again today while getting ready to record this episode. And yeah, we'll talk about how it holds up. But one thing I want to say before I get into this is that up until that point, I never really had a fear of heights. Heights have never been something that bothered me. Um, yeah, it just has been a big deal. I love roller coasters. I love going to amusement parks and doing all that stuff. I've just never had an issue with heights. I have noticed since watching this movie, heights bother me a little bit more than they used to, and I've also noticed for the last couple of years of my life, I've had some issues with vertigo, some dizzy things and stuff like that. And I'm really beginning to think that that even started after this movie. So that's why I say this movie has some effect on me. Maybe that's a stretch, but something caused it. So yeah, it's just interesting the effect this movie has had on me and still has a little bit today when I watched it again today. But like I said, let's go ahead and get into it. Quick overview for the film. For best friends, Becky and Hunter, life is all about conquering fears and pushing limits. But after they climb 2,000 feet to the top of a remote abandoned radio tower, they find themselves stranded with no way down. Now, Becky and Hunter's expert climbing skills will be put to the ultimate test as they desperately fight to survive the elements, a lack of supplies, and vertigo inducing heights. See, I told you. The film was released August 12th of 2022, directed by Scott Mann, written by Scott Mann and Jonathan Frank, produced by Christian Mercury, James Harris, Mark Lane, Scott Mann, and David Herring. Cinematography done by Miguel Olaso. Music by Tim Despic. Was distributed by Lionsgate here in the United States and by Signature Entertainment in the United Kingdom. A runtime of 107 minutes, budget of $3 million, box office 21.8 million, so did very well at the box office. Rotten Tomato scores 79% from critics, 79% from the audience, and an IMDb score of 6.4 out of 10. So pretty good scores all the way around as well. Just mention a couple of people from the cast because there's really not a lot of people in this film. We do have Grace Caroline Curry as Becky, Virginia Gardner as Hunter, Mason Gooding as Dan, and Jeffrey Dean Morgan as James, Becky's father. Just a few behind the scenes things as well for this film. This was originally conceived as a short film and then later expanded to make a movie. Both Grace Curry and Virginia Gardner insisted on performing their own stunts for this film. To create the illusion of extreme height, the upper sections of the tower were constructed atop of a mountain, allowing the actors to be filmed at real elevations of up to 100 feet above ground. The film was shot in IMAX to emphasize its vertical scale and high altitude scenes. Filming was frequently delayed due to storms, strong winds, and lightning. Lionsgate wanted a PG-13 rating, so over 30 instances of the word fuck were removed so that they could achieve this. And there are two sequels currently in development for this movie, Fall. Really, all I've got as far as the behind the scenes stuff. Let's go ahead and get now into this movie, kind of walk through the plot a little bit and talk about it. Because I really feel like this is a movie that is made by two things, and we'll kind of get into that as we go. Um, Opening scene, let me get a drink real quick. Opening scene, we have Becky, Dan, and Hunter doing some rock climbing, and there's an accident there. Dan ends up falling to his death. Um, Opening's fine. I mean, it looks good. Really, the cinematography is what makes this opening scene. It's very beautifully shot, and we're going to see. Um, I said this film is made by two things. Cinematography, number one. The cinematography in this movie is absolutely amazing. I love the way this movie was shot, and I love the way it looks, and that begins to stand out immediately. I think in this opening scene for this film. From there, we get 1 year later. Becky and Dan were in a relationship, and Becky has become very withdrawn and depressed since his passing. She's become very estranged from her father. Apparently, hasn't had any contact with Hunter for quite some time. And then Hunter does show up and wants Becky to climb this 2,000-foot tower, and from the top of the tower, scatter Dan's ashes. Initially, Hunter does not want to do this. She's done with climbing and she doesn't really want anything to do with this. But that night, she has a dream about Dan, and we kind of get a glimpse of something there that will play out later in the film. In her dream, she tells Dan that she loves him, and we find out that Dan doesn't say "I love you too." He does more of this little code of 143. That's his code. One for the word "I," four because there's four letters in the word "love," and you. Three because there's three letters in the word "you." So he does this little 143 tap thing to say "I love you too." Um, Kind of silly, but it does play a part, a big part in later parts of this film. Um, she finally then agrees to go with Hunter to climb this tower, and we do see rather quickly there on Hunter's phone. She sees a picture of Hunter, and she can tell there's another hand in this photo, and she asks Hunter who that is, and Hunter claims she doesn't even remember, some guy from a long time ago. They kind of talk about that for a minute, and then it just kind of gets dismissed. Uh, but then the climb begins, and again, really here, I mean, I feel like I'm going to repeat myself a lot in this film, but as they begin this climb up this tower, again, it's the cinematography. The performances are good. Both Caroline Curry and Alexandra, I think was her name. Let me go back and look. Virginia. I don't know where I got Alexandra. Grace Caroline Curry and Virginia Gardner both do a very good job in this film. And, I'm a huge Negan fan from The Walking Dead, so I love the fact that Jeffrey Dean Morgan is in it. But yeah, the performances are good. They do all do a great job. But again, it's the cinematography that makes this, even when they begin this climb. Um, and initially, things start going pretty well. We get some great shots. We do see that Becky is very nervous, but Hunter is encouraging her, and they end up making it. And they finally get up to this platform. And once they get to this platform, um, Hunter wants to take some pictures, so she's hanging off the platform and has Becky use this very expensive drone that Hunter has to kind of fly around it and get these pictures. She also then encourages Becky to do the same thing. Takes a little bit, but finally Becky does it. And then once she comes back up, she's seeming to be, finding herself again through this. And then they go ahead and they scatter Dan's ashes from the top of this tower. And now they've decided, okay, this has been great. We've had a good time. We've made it up here. We've done what we needed to do. Now it's time to climb back down. Through the climb up, we do get shots here and there of this tower. In some places being very rusted and broke where this ladder is concerned, other places where bolts and screws and things are coming loose. And again, through the climb up, we see where some fall out completely. And so as they begin to climb back down with Becky going first, the ladder breaks and Becky ends up dropping quite a ways there. She's trying to hold on to the ladder as it continues to break off and fall off in like pieces. Eventually, ladder goes completely and she's just hanging there and is about to just fall herself with this rope being attached, but the rope is also attached to Hunter. Hunter is able to then hold on to the rope and get a hold of uh, the pole up there by the platform that they were on, and manages to hang on to Becky, and after some struggle is able to bring her back to the top, back up there with her. um, the two kind of laugh it off and talk about this big scare, and then they decide they're okay, let's try this again. But now they realize there's no ladder, and so they basically have no way down. They also try a few other things. They're not getting any phone signal. um, the Hunter tries her Hunter is big into social media. She has this huge following for doing these kinds of things. She's trying to send a message that way, but again, no phone signal is working. There's a scene where she kind of ties a rope around the phone and tries to lower it to see if it can get a signal. But again, all through this, really the great part about this film is again just the different shots that we get during this fall when the ladder starts breaking and Becky is falling. During some of the scenes where they look over this ledge, or when Hunter's trying to lower this phone, these scenes are incredible. And I remember, like I said, I didn't have a huge fear of horror movies. I mean, sorry, a huge fear of heights, but until watching this movie. And I remember the first time I saw it, how uncomfortable I was. I mean, there were times where I was actually squirming in my seat a little bit and almost talking to my television at times, like get away from the edge, stop, don't look over, and I don't normally do that kind of thing, but this movie was really having an effect on me. Um, it did it again the second time I watched it. Today, I still notice it. It's not quite as bad as maybe the first few times I've seen it. Maybe now I'm a little more prepared for it, but I did still notice there were a few times of being very uncomfortable. And even one moment there in the film, I was talking about the whole vertigo thing earlier. There was one moment today just watching this film, and it was just for a few seconds. But in watching this movie and during one of the scenes, there was a couple of moments there where I had to close my eyes and kind of lean back because I found myself getting a little bit dizzy. So, yeah, I think this movie caused me vertigo issues, but yeah, who knows? So anyway, picking back up, then they finally decide that during this ladder breaking and everything, the one of the backpacks fell and it falls on a satellite that's a little. I say a little ways. It's actually quite a ways down from where they're at on this platform, but then it's even still further to the ground. And so Hunter decides to try to climb down using their rope to climb down to this satellite, get on it, and get the backpack and get it back up so that they can at least have some water, some things like that, while they try to figure out what to do. Um, they try multiple things up there in this time. They try shooting a flare gun that doesn't work. At one point, Hunter puts her shoe. She types this message to her following on social media. Tries to like pat it in her shoe and then drops her shoe off, but instead her shoe it doesn't really pat it enough, and the phone just shatters when it hits the ground. There's another scene where they see some gentlemen down there with a camper, and they fire this flare gun and get their attention. And we see that if the guys are looking with binoculars, they see them up there. But rather than these guys helping them, these guys end up stealing their car. So just nothing isn't taking off. So nothing is working for them. And then we have a scene where they're sitting there at night, and Becky sees a tattoo on Hunter's lower leg, right around her foot, of 143. And we find out then that Hunter and Dan were having an affair. And so Becky is, of course, heartbroken. She's still, she's sad because not only is Dan dead, but now she has found out that her best friend and her, ex-husband are there, or ex-fiance. I don't remember if they actually got married or if they were just engaged. But were having an affair. And so now she's, heartbroken. She's frustrated. She's angry with Hunter. Hunter uses this rope and climbs down to retrieve the backpack. Um, yeah, and that's kind of where we're at on this. She's able to get a hold of the backpack. She almost falls again, and then Becky is kind of able to we think save her and get her back up there with her. But then we find out that under these conditions, with everything that's going on, they've also got these big birds like flying around and messing with them. That Becky has been hallucinating, that Hunter actually died when she fell. And Becky realizes that Hunter's body is laying on this satellite below, and didn't survive her attempted uh, trip to to try to get them more supplies and that kind of thing. Um, Becky is then able to use the drone and try to get it going to come down and reach for some help. But right as she kind of gets to where she thinks she's going to be able to get it to where some people are, the drone is moving across this road, and this truck hits the drone. I mean, everything imaginable, is happening to her at this point. So now the drone is destroyed, and that's not working as well. Becky then descends down to Hunter's body. She's going through things. She's trying to process everything that's happening and everything that has happened, between Hunter and Dan. And she ends up typing a message in her phone to her father. These birds have been eating at Hunter while she's laying there on this satellite, and so there's a hole there in her stomach. Becky then puts the phone in the shoe, uh, tucks it inside Hunter's body through this hole that's in her stomach, and tries to make peace with everything, and tells Hunter she's sorry, but she's got to take care of herself now. Pushes Hunter's body off, and then we do find out that there was enough padding this time. As Hunter's body lands, the text message is sent, and to her father. Her father's able to call rescue personnel. They arrive. Her father arrives. Becky ends up being saved and reunited with her father. And that's pretty much Fall. I mean, there's not a lot to really discuss with this film. Uh, Other than I feel like two things. I think it's a good movie. I think the story is very good. I like the story to this film. There are times where the score stands out. The score is good for the movie. I think the performances again from these girls are very good. It's the cinematography that makes this movie. It's absolutely incredible. I love the way this movie looks. I love the way it's shot. Um, some of these scenes do make me very uneasy and very uncomfortable, and that's why I think it belongs as a horror movie. It's scary from that sense, and like I said, it still affects me. This is probably the fourth or fifth time now that I've seen this movie in the last few years, and it still affects me. And that's why I wanted to talk about it again, because I've talked about this before with other people. After you've seen so many horror movies, you kind of you get to a point where it just nothing really scares you or makes you uncomfortable anymore. And the fact that this movie still does make me uncomfortable, at least it makes me, move in my seat a little bit, and still want to say, to these girls, even though I know what's going to happen, like get away from the edge, that kind of thing. So there's still some really good things about this film, and I really still enjoy this movie. If you haven't seen it, I really encourage you to go out and watch Fall from 2022. I think it's a very good movie, and I think it counts as horror. It's just a different kind of horror. To rate this on a scale of 1 to 10, when I first saw this movie back in 2022, I was so blown away, loved it so much. I mean, again, I probably watched it 3 times within the first week of seeing it. Um, and I would have had it probably at that particular point as a 9 or a 10. I mean, I just absolutely love this film. Given some time now, and now that I know what's going to happen, and I've gotten a little more used to it, I don't think it's that high, but I still really do enjoy this movie. Um, Again, it's not your typical horror film, but it's still a lot of fun, still a good thriller. And I think it's very well done, and I'm excited to see what kind of sequels they produce. So for me now, for my scale of 1 to 10, I would give Fall. Um, Gosh, I still think it's a very good movie. I think I would still give Fall an 8. I would give it an 8 out of 10. It's a really enjoyable film. I really do like this film. So 8 out of 10 on Fall for me. Now I want to know what you think. Have you seen this movie? Do you like it as much as I do? Do you agree that these scenes are difficult to watch a little bit? Do you have a fear of heights? I want to know. I want to hear from you and your thoughts on this film. So, yeah, let me know. Leave me some comments today. If you haven't subscribed to the channel already, please do so. Getting close to 100 followers and really hoping to hit that very soon. So help me do that. Hit the like button today. Share this video. Leave me comments. I love the interaction with people. So, leave me comments about what you think about this film, suggestions for the channel in general. If there's a movie you would like to hear me talk about or see me talk about, let me know. But yeah, again, I love being a part of the horror community, and I love the interaction here with you guys. Follow me on social media. I'm pretty much on everything out there: Blue Sky, Instagram, Threads, TikTok, X. You can search in just Sean's Horror Corner, and you'll be able to find me that way. So I think that about wraps up this episode. Next week, I've got a couple of really fun ones planned. I feel like I'm going to have some guests on with me next week. My friends at That Horror Couple are going to be here with me next week. We're going to be talking about the movie The Substance, the body horror film starring Demi Moore. And then, of course, Brendan and Sam from Our Life in Horror are going to be back. We've been going through the Hatchet franchise, and we will be talking about Hatchet 3 next week. So, yeah, be sure and subscribe so you don't miss those episodes. That'll wrap it up for today. But again, thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate you, and I will see you soon. Bye-bye.